When you think of sports dynasties, there are a few names that just immediately come to mind. And for the last couple of decades, one of those names has been, without a doubt, the New England Patriots. They were this unstoppable force, a team that completely redefined what dominance looks like. But their story, well, it's really a tale of two completely different teams. A journey from being the league's laughingstock to, well, the absolute pinnacle of greatness.
And this, right here, is what that greatness looks like. 6 Lombardi trophies. That number, 6, puts the Patriots in some seriously elite company in NFL history, tying them with the legendary Pittsburgh Steelers for the most Super Bowl wins ever. For an entire generation of football fans, this was the standard. This was the peak.
But here's the crazy part. For the first 40 years they were around, they were anything but a powerhouse. So how on earth does a team go from decades of just being okay, of being mediocre, to building one of the greatest dynasties in all of sports? That's the story we're going to break down. So first up, let's dive into this incredible transformation. How they went from a wandering, kind of struggling franchise into the absolute powerhouse that would go on to dominate football for a generation. It all starts with the early years, because before the dynasty, there were the Boston and later the New England Patriots. And let me tell you, this was a team defined by instability and some truly, truly bizarre moments. Just look at this timeline. It really tells you everything you need to know. In their first 11 seasons, they played in 4 different stadiums around Boston before they finally settled down in Foxborough in 1971. I mean, that's not just unstable. That's the recipe for a franchise that's going absolutely nowhere. And this quote, this just perfectly captures the chaotic vibe of that whole era. We're talking about the famous snowplow game. The Patriots are in a scoreless tie with Miami, and the coach gets a snowplow operator, who, get this, happened to be a convict on work release, to clear a spot on the field so they could kick a game-winning field goal. When he was asked about it, the operator, Mark Henderson, gave that all-time classic quote. You just can't make this stuff up.
And that instability wasn't just about where they played. The franchise went through this revolving door of owners in the late 80s and early 90s. At one point, they were actually on the verge of moving to St. Louis. It wasn't until a local businessman, Robert Kraft, bought the team in 1994 that things finally settled down.
So let's just put it all into perspective. In their first 40 years, the Patriots made it to the Super Bowl twice and lost both times. They had only 15 winning seasons out of 40. For the most part, they were just another team, a pretty forgettable franchise. And then everything changed.
Then came the year 2000, and with it, the beginning of a brand new era, an era that would eventually become known simply as the Dynasty.
It all started with these two guys, the quiet, brilliant head coach Bill Belichick and his quarterback Tom Brady. But here's the thing, Brady wasn't some huge heralded superstar coming out of college. No way. He was a 6th-round draft pick who only got his chance to play because the team's starting quarterback got hurt. What happened next was something nobody saw coming. Six Super Bowl championships in 18 years. Let that sink in. They went from 0 wins in their first 40 years to 6 in less than 20. It's just a staggering, unbelievable turnaround.
And the numbers, they're just mind-boggling. I mean, listen to this run. 19 straight winning seasons, 11 straight division titles, 8 straight AFC championship games, and of course, the only perfect 16-0 regular season in the history of the NFL. This wasn't just about winning. It was sustained, relentless dominance year after year.
And their wins were often the stuff of legend. I mean, who could possibly forget Super Bowl 51? They were down 28-3 to the Atlanta Falcons. It was late in the 3rd quarter. The game was over. I mean, it was over, but it wasn't. They stormed all the way back to force overtime and win, pulling off the single greatest comeback the Super Bowl has ever seen. Or how about Super Bowl 49 against Seattle? The Seahawks are on the 1-yard line with just seconds left to win the game. And instead of running the ball, they decide to throw it. And this unknown rookie, Malcolm Butler, makes one of the most clutch, unbelievable interceptions in the history of sports to win the championship. Just incredible. But all that success, well, it came with intense scrutiny and a whole lot of controversy. The most famous example, of course, was Deflategate. After the 2015 AFC Championship game,
An NFL investigation found it was more probable than not that team personnel had deliberately used underinflated footballs. The whole thing led to huge fines, lost draft picks, and even a 4-game suspension for Tom Brady himself.
You know, as the team's fortunes changed on the field, their look started to transform as well. The franchise's visual identity really mirrored their journey from underdog to powerhouse. So on the left, you've got the classic Patriot logo, a pretty detailed drawing of a Revolutionary War Minuteman. It's kind of intricate, it's very old school. And then on the right, the logo they introduced in 1993, the sleek, modern, and yeah, a little controversial, Flying Elvis, which is the logo that came to define the entire dynasty. And the uniforms tell the exact same story. They went from those classic bright red jerseys of their early years to the nautical blue and silver that they adopted in 2000, the very same year Belichick arrived and just before the whole dynasty really took off. That blue uniform, that became the color of championships. But as we all know, nothing, not even the greatest dynasty in sports, lasts forever. A brand new chapter has begun in New England.
First, Tom Brady left for Tampa Bay in 2020. Then, after the 2023 season, Bill Belichick and the team parted ways after 24 incredible years. And just like that, with the 2 central figures gone, the book on one of the most dominant runs in sports history was officially closed.
So what was the secret? What was the secret sauce? Well, many people credit a philosophy that became known as the Patriot Way. It was this culture of intense preparation, a crazy strong work ethic, and most importantly, putting the team way above any single player's ego. In a league that's built on superstars and has a salary cap specifically designed to prevent dynasties, the Patriots were built on one simple idea: just do your job for the good of the team.
Which really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Was the Patriot Way this brilliant, repeatable system for building a champion that any team could follow? Or was this dynasty just a case of lightning in a bottle? A once-in-a-lifetime coach and a forgotten 6th-round quarterback who became the greatest of all time? A perfect storm of talent that we may just never see again.